If you haven't already, go watch episode 7, season 3 of Reasonable Doubt. Y'all, this episode had me bawling from the beginning to the end. Okay? Just bawling, crying. Well, at the end, I really didn't cry, but after. So, just a little recap. And I like how they kept going from 1986, Jax and her mom, until to the present. Like they kept flip flopping just to show the history of Jax, Eddie, which is her dad, and her mom, Mama Lou. They wanted to really show us like why Jax may act the way she did, or why Mama Lou was protecting her. Like the whole episode in totality was just about how Mama Lou has always been there for Jax and been in covering, even though Jax didn't feel that way when it came to her stepdad, but Jax didn't even realize how much her mom, like, it was all flashing back, like all the times her mom had been there. Was it the correct way? No, but she did it to the best of her ability. You know what I'm saying? And it really had me like crying. And it was a scene on this episode where it showed Jax watching Eddie when he was younger, and when they were all younger. Jax was a kid, a little girl, and her mom was young and her dad was young, and he over here doing sniffing. And that part when Jax was saying, "I'm doing the medicine Daddy was doing," and try to. That's why I say you got to watch what you do around your kids, because man, I was like, oh my god, and her mom was feeling, just watching her mom really go through it with her dad who was addicted to drugs, just had me just like, I was crying. Okay, I was crying, and I understood where Mama Lou. Now I was a little upset because I'm like, why do she have DR, like do not resuscitate? Like I get everybody don't believe in resuscitation. If something was to happen, but I'm just like, it's just a lot, and you could tell in true form and fashion. I kind of thought that Jax should have loosened up in her way of coming to her mom. Like I understood it was like, okay, I know it's stage 2. We got to get this in order. I get her being frantic about it, but I feel like it was too much. Um, when Jax just found out, I'm coming with you, I'm doing this. Like I felt like the witch and where I feel like she should have handled her mom with a little bit more care, and I believe that's why she called Eddie, because she knew Jax was gonna treat her like she was a task that had to be fulfilled, and she's like, I'm not a task. I want to be treated and handled properly and correctly. Now, I was a little frustrated with Mama Lou about her having Eddie in position, but he knows that Eddie will follow her wishes. But I'm just like, I feel like Jax would too, though. But except for the do not resuscitate. Like, I believe Jax is like, get up on in there, get my mama back. But I can see why she fell in love with Eddie. Just at that time, drugs had started being okay? It hit the block hard, okay? And he just fell into it, given he was in the music industry. But I just was like Jax said, like I felt for Jax when she was like, how you gonna give it to him? He ain't even, or how she checked her dad. Why would she give it to you? You ain't even been here. I've been here. And I'm glad that Chantel, her bestie, ended up walking in on her at the baby shower and was like, I never thought, I would protect my bonus daughter when it came to like the situation, from last season. But she was like, I did. And the things that you do to protect your children, even though they're adults and they can most likely handle it. And for her to just say, you need friends like that, but for her to just say, your mama was just looking out for you like she's always done. And I just felt like that was beautiful. And you need friends like that. On a lighter note, I love how Daniel's over here. He like, give me that face so I can get that, so I can get through your phone. Again, I do not think that the sister did it or Ozzy did it. Okay. I think that the mama did it, and the mama is the one making people do things that they were doing. So I'm gonna go all the way to the end of the episode. So Daniel have been following. Well, he tried to get the guy who was on the show with Ozzy to meet up with him, and he was pretending he was a writer. He ended up getting into a horrific accident that I don't believe was an accident, and he ended up seeing. Luckily, boy, Daniel know how to. I'm up here for Mama Lou because she just had surgery. He know how to cover his butt when he trying to be nosy. And I'm glad he not letting this whole I don't even know if they in a relationship, but I'm in relations with this girl. I'm not letting that take me away from my job. My mind is still clear enough. Now, do he feel empathetic? Yes, he does. But at the same time, he like, this is my job, and your brother is our client. So he went up there and he made up, oh, I'm up here for Mama Lou, and found out that the guy he was supposed to meet with, which was the guy from Ozzy's show, was in a horrific accident, and they showed the daughter at the end somehow. I don't think he's going to be recovering. She did something to him, number one. And number two, and that little kiss, that was an awkward kiss she gave to him, like, oh snap, I might be caught. But the person she was on the phone with was her mama. Okay? Her mama, as soon as, this is why I think Ozzy mama did it. Because as soon as Ozzy was like, y'all no longer my manager, this A, B, to C, to D, to E, F, G, she made sure she put something into his head. And I guarantee you, Ozzy was present when it happened, but he wasn't the one who did it. It was his mama. But they've been not showing her. So we just automatically think, just like they did on season 2. They didn't really show the daughter. But I remember because she kept, and then once they introduced Candy character, that's when I remember, oh, she got a bonus daughter. And I bet you it was a bonus daughter who came back from college. And sure enough, I was right. Mark my words, I think it was the mom. And I think that she puppeteers her whole family to get what she wants. She knows what she's doing. You know what I'm saying? She knows what she's doing. But back to, so Daniel is like, this guy is on his last leg, and who did this to him? So that's what it left off on. I'm like, oh, I really hate sometimes when I start a season and it's already been going, because it be going, okay? But yeah, I like how they kept showing, though, Jack's whole processing point, even at the baby shower. She was just so out of it. And that's so true to life. When you are trying to celebrate people or celebrate something, and it's something that's heavy on your heart, it will really close you off. And I'm so glad she was caught, because she was about to break her habit. And I believe that she falls into that from her dad's side of like doing things to try to like make herself feel better, like self-medicate. And I'm glad that her friend caught her and was like, don't do that. And she lifted her up and let her know, like, we're here for you. And then the funny thing was about what part was, you know, Sally finding out from Bill. And I got to give it to Bill. I really thought he was going to use this opportunity and play my girl Jax, and he did it. And I'm proud of him. I'm very proud of him. Good job, Tommy. He really was like, we're waiting for Jax. And I was like, clock it. So for him to stand up and finally say, I'm not, like, he wants to grow. He don't want to get his, you know, I feel like he don't want to get in a higher position due to being shady, because it ain't going to come the way he wanted anyway. And I hope he don't change his tune. But as of now, he's doing well. And I really thought he would have flopped a long time ago. But I think the more he ain't got to know her, the more he like, I ain't about to flop on her. But this episode in general was so good from the time, as it always is. Never disappoint. I will rate this a 10 out of 10. Recommend with some tissue. Okay. So who do y'all think is in charge of the whole situation? And I think that part we seen in the beginning of the season is Jax finding her mom, unfortunately passing on. And I'm glad they tied it all the way in, because I really thought it was the son that was home from school and it happened to him. But I almost am 100, I would say I'm 95% in the thoughts, thinking that the person, you know, because they always show like some big traumatic thing on the first season. I believe it's her mom, and she respected her wishes and did not resuscitate. I also love how Eddie did not lie to Jax when they were in the chapel of the hospital when her mom was undergoing surgery. And I was looking at her, I was looking at Mama Lou like, please let Jax get a second opinion. But at the same time, I've had to think about it like if it was not me. But I know for sure if I was Jax, I would have been like, Mom, you have to get a second opinion. I would have been just like Jax. But Jax is really realizing. But I'm glad that Eddie did not take credit and say I was the one who gave your mom the guitar thingy majiggy. He was like, that was the works of your mom, because Jax was so young and she didn't understand what was going on. So I love how Eddie is not like being funny, but he got a secret. Lewis know it, and I think he relapsed. Do I think he's doing anything right now after he relapsed? No. And I also want to talk about episode 6 that just passed. I forgot to talk about Lewis finding out his parents wasn't the perfect picture that he thought. No, that was crazy. But I was glad, because it took him down a bit to realize that life happens in all relationships, and marriage isn't perfect. And I'm glad his brother also told him that. And I meant to add that last week into my thoughts. But yeah, who y'all think was on that phone call with Little Missy? Who y'all think it was? And do y'all think it was Mama Lou that was the entrance, like starting off the season where Jax is running in and crying on the floor? Do y'all think it is Mama Lou, or do you think it's her son? Y'all let me know in the comments. I'll see you on the next one. Peace and hair grease.